Another day here in the NBA, and it's getting to the point with the thumbnails. We're putting some real assholes on there, myself included. We always do here on the Splash Play NBA channel, though. We're going to dig into my projections compared to some of the industry leaders out there, like Stokastic, like our friends at Unabated. We're also going to see what the best bets are at Unabated, a site you'd be up $45,000 on if you only listen to both Unabated and your mom. Also, we're going to check out Stokastic DFS Sims by the end of this video. You know, the splash plays for today, along with your must plays on today's NBA slate, which is a lot. Q tags today. Again, a lot of Q tags. Jason Tatum, Kristaps Porzingis, Scotty Barnes for the tanking Raptors. Q tag. Home game against the Sixers, who are also equally tanking, it seems. Lauri Markkanen, Rudy Gobert, PJ Washington, Kelly Oubre, Andre Drummond, Gershon Yabusele, Zach Edey, Jordan Clarkson, Devin Vassell. Guys that are out today, like Nick Richards, also mattering on the slate, as you're going to see in a moment. A whole lot of Mason Plumlee out there. Your doubtful tags, Aaron Gordon, Jeremy Grant, Nick Richards. So those guys not likely to play today is what we got. I also had to run a sim right before the show, but didn't want to keep you guys waiting too much longer. So I'm going to export everything here. I'm going to put it into my Google sheet, and then we will see it. You know what? I'll actually pull up this sheet here so you can see it update in real time, what you're getting, what I do every single night here for the paying members of the channel. Let's pull this in. Here's my sim export. I love when you guys have to watch me copy paste things to make this delicate data infrastructure work. All right. Here we go. That is in. Grab all these. Go, boo, boo. We hit a little Control C. This is me also not being able to bear any dead air. We upload everything in. There we go. And now the update should be right here. Whoa, that's honestly pretty cool, right? Like it's fast. Like for me doing it one man running a Google sheet. Works pretty well. So that's the projection update I just ran here. Wanted to get Stokastic's updated data in here so we don't have to do the thing that I sometimes do where it's like, oh, there should have been updated, blah, blah, blah. So here we go. I'm not new at this, for the record. In fact, you can see here how not new at this I am. Although I do have the football logo up for today. So there we go. Let's go to the basketball logo. There we go. All right. Top projected players for today. Nikola Jokic, not on your main slate for DraftKings, still the top projected player for me. 12.9 salary for your DK late slate. We're not playing him on DraftKings, so we don't really care that much, even though this is a very funny chat by Steven about for April Fool's Day, well, I do only FanDuel. I can't even get into my FanDuel account currently because for the 100th time as having a FanDuel account, somebody tried to hack it and take the money I have in it. So I'm not currently on FanDuel at all. But I do have to unlock it because I want to start placing some more FanDuel sportsbook bets. But yeah, that's where I am with my FanDuel relationship. So I would say even no, not even as an April Fool's Day bit. I'll pretend I'll just do the fucking puppet talking for an hour for April Fool's Day, which honestly some of you guys might like more than the regular show. SGA, your number 2 projected guy on the slate for me. SGA, so this is actually kind of nuts. SGA this year without Jalen Williams out with a hip injury for an unknown period of time. Basically, they're just going to try to get him right in time for the playoffs. Of course, because the Thunder are a championship contender. But SGA, 39.9% usage, let's say 40% usage in 1,700 possessions without Jalen Williams. So we are talking about more than enough of a sample size. 40% usage would be the most in the league. 34% assist rate, 9% rebound rate. Maybe that doesn't matter that much to you. 1.8 fantasy points per minute for SGA in court time without Jalen Williams. And it is a tough matchup versus Boston Thunder's team total, not as high as it's been sometimes. We're often seeing them around 120. Today, they're closer to 113. But I think SGA is still a pay-up option worth getting to me. So for this price tag, 11.4, a little bit tough to pay it, I think, for SGA on some slates. But I would say for me, SGA, I think, is worth the pay-up option today. And frankly, didn't get Giannis right yesterday as my pay-up option. So I'm dying to get something right on that front today. For SGA, though, I think he looks really good. 19% for the field, only 17% for me. But when I'm making my final lineups, I'm going to force myself to get a little bit more SGA. James Harden at number 3. So Harden, we talked about in the show how I always have him over projected. He and Miles Bridges have finally paying off all the over projection I've been doing. He and Zubac went nuts yesterday. Kawhi had a good day because Harden and Zubac were much more must-haves. They won the tournaments, won all the money. Kawhi kept you afloat, though, at the cash line at the very least. Harden, though, today, no Kawhi. Likely, I think, no Norman Powell, no Ben Simmons, the recent run out we've had for these guys. So for Harden, again, you have to be willing to go here. It looks like the sum amount, 10-2 salary. I got him in 23% of my lineup. So technically right now, I have him more than SGA, with him being $1,200 cheaper. But it is a $10K price tag. What's driving my Harden Bridges over projection? Basically that they absorb a lot of stats. I mean, it's not really an over projection. It's that they both have underperformed a lot for the last, I would say, 2 weeks prior to what's been going on lately. Bridges is over 54 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So basically, like, I've had these guys looking like players that should be played in a lot of slates, but in reality, they failed a lot I would say, like, in particular, like the last 2 weeks, Bridges has been really good. Harden was really just good last game, but Harden generally has just been kind of underperforming for about a month. Started the year really well. Hopefully he'll find his depth again today. But it is James Harden in Miami today, so that is a little bit of a tough one. Harden at Miami at 8 o'clock. He was probably out pretty late, one would think. Maybe not your Harden day, but I'll still get him at least close to the field. Karl-Anthony Towns, not on our main slate again, so not really a priority to talk about. He looks good, as the Knicks usually do when one of the players is out. Brunson's still out for the team, likely for another week or so. Jason Tatum here, Q tag on him. If he plays, he looks good with the 50.2 projection. Stokastic's at 50. That said, only getting him in 5% of lineups. Fields at 13. Not really a big stand here, but I am about half the field on him. So still think he's a valid play really on the slate. Harden I like because of having not a lot of Clippers guys. SGA I like because of that really, crazy numbers he's had without Jalen Williams. Tatum, it's like you're getting the Celtics back to full health. Porzingis back in. If these guys are all going today, I just don't know how Boston would be a priority. But it is, competitive spot versus OKC, marquee game, so maybe give them a boost for that. But the team total's not really high enough to do that either. Albert and Şengün, you have Noam Thompson still for the team. He's the biggest rate winner overall. Şengün, though, just shy of 10K salary. 18% of the field's going to be there. I'm at 26, so do like him a lot. Got a lot of Scotty Barnes in this last run. I will be fully candid about the fact I'm not going to get this much Scotty Barnes when lineups lock. Barnes, I just don't think can play the 32 minutes they're giving him. I'm, in fact, a little confused to give him that much. Last game for the Raptors, Scotty Barnes was done at 25 minutes. There were a few more minutes that were played by R.G. Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly in that game. Both guys out today. But I don't know that Barnes on a Q tag, I can't assume that he gets 32 minutes. You tell me he gets a 30, maybe I could buy that. 32, I think no chance. He should be a great producer today because you have no Quickly, you have no Barrett, you have no Grady Dick, you have no Jacoby Walter, you have no Agbaji. You are now down to like your third tier of Raptors rotational players at all. But Barnes to me at 28 feels even more right. I'm not on board with this projection for Scotty Barnes, but he'll project well per minute. He can do well enough per minute. I think getting 10% of Scotty Barnes feels okay. 60%, no fucking chance. I'm not going to do that. Miles Bridges, 40% for the field. I'm getting 68. He has been playing 35 plus minutes in the last few games. I think the last 5 games has been over 35 minutes, over 54 fantasy points the last 3 games. He's shooting really well. As I've said in this show for months now, he's gained the most from Brandon Miller being off the court. That's been the case for a while. Just hadn't really hit that upside except in games without LaMelo. Now he's sitting in games with LaMelo because LaMelo basically defers him. Bridges takes possessions away, doesn't even create assists for LaMelo as he does it. That's what's really happening with Bridges right now. Is he's taking kind of a share of the offense that he hadn't had in the first half of the year fully, especially when Miller was playing. So Bridges, there's a lot of Bridges. I don't think I want to be this crazy on him. Kind of feels to me like the Desmond Bane projection the other day, Najee Marshall projection the other day, where it's like, this guy's been running hot. We're now getting the fully kind of boosted projection as a result. I don't know that I want to go nuts on Bridges, but if the field's going to be at 40%, I'll probably be at 40% at the very least. Any concerns with Şengün sharing the floor with Adams? No, it's a good thing because then if Adams runs hot, they could share minutes together and be on the court together. Not that Adams is like running hot that often that he would take minutes away from Şengün, but generally players playing together is a positive. Even though, Şengün would be mostly the 4 in that situation, not right by the rim. So he probably loses a few rebounds, but he probably gains a little bit in assists, a little bit in usage as well, playing more of a 4 role. My Goobazook. Again, I got to start reading your chats. Saying that, like, Goobazook is not a phrase that I want to just get surprised by. It's pumped over another breakdown of an NBA DFS slate. Again, I love the emotion behind it. Goobazooka, though, it's too many O's. It's too many. It's like Ookie Cookie. Just too many O's. Coincidentally, both things go hand in hand. No pun intended. LaMelo Ball, 25% of the field. I'm not there. He's obviously good leverage against Miles Bridges. Same thing we always talk about in DFS. It's like for any of these projections, really, if you had a slice of pie, all of a sudden there's one slice of pie missing. Where'd that slice of pie go? That's your projection. If Miles Bridges doesn't get there today, it's because LaMelo Ball probably got a few more points, maybe a few more rebounds and assists. Mark Williams, maybe a few more points at the rim, a few more assists. That's sort of how that goes. So I think that for LaMelo here, it's a lot of ownership, but Charlotte's total is pretty high today, given the matchup for them. Their team total as of before the show was up to, where are they at? Come on, Charlotte. Yeah, Charlotte's up to 116.5, and obviously facing Atlanta today, who's got 125 on their side. Really high total by Charlotte standards, so that's why you are getting a lot of these guys for the field. Really a lot of these guys for the field. Anthony Edwards, not on your main slate. He is a player on the slate. Looks a little bit better if Gobert's out. Probably doesn't matter that much for him, though. Trae Young, 19% for the field. I'm getting 1%, as we have talked about endlessly with Trae Young. He's a perfectly fine player generally, but I think overpriced for what his rates have been historically this year without Jalen Johnson, without Bogdanovich, without DeAndre Hunter. Basically, these other Hawks that have come in have reduced Trae's usage a little bit. The assist rates come down a little bit, so he's still fine, but the field always gets more Trae Young than me. Good total, though, again, for Atlanta, Charlotte. So you want to play those pieces, you can. Let's sort by value here. Then we'll go into the game by game. Hopefully make some good time. It is a 7:30 Eastern start time today, so keep that in mind. That also means I'll be on Stokastic at 5:30 today with my pal Josh Engelman, so tune in then. But right now, obviously, right now we're doing this. I don't know why I felt the need to say that. Out of Mark Gubazuka. That's... What ethnicity would that name be, do you think? Would that be Italian? I think it sounds close. I feel like Middle Eastern, Mediterranean, somewhere in that region. Greek? Mark Kubizuka. It's like a Jason Mantzoukas character. All right, so your top value plays. AJ Lawson looks like the top value to me right now. Actually pulled ahead of Jamal Shed, a little bit cheaper. AJ Lawson, of course, broke the slate the other day. You needed him to actually win the largest tournaments out there. With him putting up 50 fantasy points at very little ownership. Basically, that game was a little bit of an aberration. Jared Rhoden got foul trouble right away. Lost some minutes that Rhoden ended up still playing a good amount of minutes. But basically, Lawson came in earlier than he probably should have. Ended up playing well, put up 50 fantasy points, rebounded a lot. I don't think it's really sustainable, but he's going to play 30 plus minutes. Clearly an unafraid shooter. So I'm okay with AJ Lawson. I do think there's a lot of sim ownership, 75% for me, 28% for the field, but he projects how he projects. I just would be a little more cautious with him than I would be this next guy, Jamal Shed. Jamal Shed, lead point guard for the team. You have no Quickly in. Shed's been the backup. There isn't really a backup to the backup for Toronto. They'll have some wings. They'll bring the ball up. Like, they're not going to be in trouble without Shed. But in terms of like actually creating shots and whatever, Shed's usage rate goes up. His assist rate goes up. 4,400. I think he's your value play. I probably will be locking him tonight. I think just to kind of get a different look. I am playing good 40 lineups, I think, in the big tournament tonight because it is the $5 DraftKings tournament today. So I'll throw in a little bit more there. Would I be spreading across the 4-point play and whatever? I don't know that I want a 100% 40 lineups, but I might do it for Shed because I do think he fits the criteria here of just having the ball in his hands. They have a real vacancy there. And if Barnes is out in particular, then Shed, Lawson, they're all going to project way too well not to play. Mason Plumlee played 26 minutes last time out for Phoenix, and that was with Nick Richards playing. Closed over Nick Richards. Plumlee should be your lead center. Oso Ighodaro playing the backup center, I think, is what you're getting here. Don't think the ceiling is that high, but he's 3,400 and going to play almost 30 minutes. They probably need his size in the court today going against Phoenix, going against Houston. So I would say that for Plumlee here, does feel like the ceiling's not that high. Feels like best case scenario, you're maybe getting 32 fantasy points, 35 if things really work out for him. But he's really cheap. He's a value play, and the minutes seem pretty good. But there isn't really like a big vacancy for Phoenix with Nick Richards being out like there is for some of these other teams, Toronto, in particular. Dallas, like we've talked about a lot of days, it's not quite the same, so I'd kind of treat it accordingly. AJ Lawson is a trap. It's hard when you put up 50 fantasy points to expect the guys to not be a trap, but the issue is like the next game you get Quickly and Barrett out. So I think in that respect, and you still have Jacoby Walter out, you still have Agbaji out, you still have Grady Dick out. It's too many guys. You got your dick out. It's impossible not to laugh in a juvenile way every time. But yeah, I think for Lawson, that's really the case here. Should we critique Lawson further? Why not? I mean, we're going to go game by game. You'll see more of these numbers. Lawson not shooting terribly well either to start. 50% true shooting. That should get a little bit better. League average is 55%, and he's probably not total dog shit if he could actually, spike an upside like that. His per 100 numbers are okay. The rebounding is not as good as it was in that one game. Only 8 rebounds per 100 possessions generally, but he did have, I think, double-digit rebounds in that last game, so that's probably a concern point. Does chuck up 13 threes per 100 possessions. That's where you're getting the variance a little bit more. If he doesn't hit those threes, he might still get there from rebounds and whatever from playing 30 minutes. But, he hit the threes last game and got a lot of them up as well. He played like a 2K player would. Like, he was just like, you're my player. All of a sudden, you're in the league and you're shooting a shitload. I say this from personal experience. That's basically what he did last game. So if he does it again, he might still hit. Steven Adams, as we talked about, or as the question was earlier, very astutely talking about Steven Adams playing more minutes right alongside Şengün. That's a positive for both guys. The fact that you're not minutes capped and locked into just 48 minutes shared, the fact he can get to 50, the fact he gets to 55, maybe he gets to 60 combined minutes is a positive. So Steven Adams, I think, looks pretty good. But really, he and Plumlee, I'd rather have Plumlee. These guys are values that'll make lineups work, but practically the ceiling's a little bit in question. Jared Rhoden, if he plays better today, I do think AJ Lawson would start to fail more. So still getting a lot of both guys, getting Jared Rhoden at 27%, but getting a lot more AJ Lawson again with that 75%. My top 150 lineups, Russell Westbrook, Miles McBride, not in the DraftKings slate, so they look like good values on the late slate, I guess. Royce O'Neal getting a few more minutes, could theoretically play some 5 if Phoenix went small and took off Iguodala and Plumlee. He probably gains a few minutes as well from Grayson Allen being out today or doubtful, which means probably out. So for Royce O'Neal, okay player here, 18% for me, 14% for the field. Dylan Brooks with the field's 20%, just getting a few more minutes from not having Amen Thompson out or not having him in. And Miles Bridges still a top value for me, and it would honestly get even higher if I gave the Vegas total boost, because the fact that Hornets total is like about 1.3% higher or 1.3x what it would normally be for them. Let's go game by game, guys. And you guys know the deal. I'm doing these streams Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. No streams tomorrow and Friday, though, because I will be on the road with my family doing a little weekend or long weekend getaway with the wife's side of things. So I could really use your support more than that. I actually love my in-laws, but he loves his mother-in-law. Please subscribe. That was not a good impression of the guy from I Think You Should Leave. Subscribe down below, though. Hit the like button. Leave a comment. I'll always do the best I can to add value to your NBA process every day. And, of course, slates will change. Projections will change and all of that as we go. But I do the best I can to set you up for success for your betting stuff, for your DFS stuff, whatever you are doing out there, your props, your pick'ems. That is what we're doing here every day. So do please subscribe, like, do all that. Join down below as well if you want the Discord or you want to see some of the data I show you on screen. That ranking view you can get with the Squirt Squad VIP tier, and you can also export it then into your sites. And in this version of things as well, the matchup screen you could also get with the Squirt Squad tier if you join down below. If you just wanted to join a Discord for $5, our Squirt Squad Discord or Splashway Discord is also pretty good too. So check that out. Building a community here bit by bit. All right, so we got Philadelphia here, 108.5 implied points. Toronto, 113.5 implied points. Philadelphia side, I'm not getting Quentin Grimes, even with me having him projected about 6.5 points higher on Stokastic. Grimes' rates go through the roof when you start taking Sixers off. With Oubre expected to be in today or likely to be in, it looks a little bit less good for Grimes than it did last game, and that price tag is now up exponentially for Grimes. But his minutes limit, seemingly not there. If you want to take the shot again, you can. But if I have him projected this well, only getting him in 1% of lineups, I'm not really sure how much you actually want to play of Grimes practically. Besides that, we got Lonnie Walker. Again, another value play here. He would look better if Oubre were out. Kind of warned against Lonnie Walker last game. He ended up being an okay play, but I don't think really won anything. Still an okay play here at 4,300, but now you're kind of getting the price tag up a little bit more. For Philadelphia, just not a lot to love, but if you got some Grimes, got some Oubre, I guess the Oubre doesn't project that well for me. Got some Lonnie Walker, I really wouldn't be mad at any part of that. Toronto on their side, we've kind of talked about these guys enough already. Way too much Scotty Barnes coming in for me in my top 150 with our minutes concerns for Toronto at this point. Even though they can absolutely make the play-in, and so could Philadelphia, both teams are ramping down guys to not make the play-in. So it's like a really weird thing to try to suss out. But Barnes here, 15%. I think 10 to 15 for him feels okay. Absorb that minutes risk at 8,700 and hope that he can still get there. With him being about a 1.4 fantasy point per minute guy, with Quickly out, with Barrett out, with Dick out, with all those guys that are not available for Toronto, like you could take that shot. He could be really productive in a short amount of time. But that said, you don't want to play guys that you're worried about them getting the 30 minutes, let alone, possibly getting the 35 or more. Like Barnes today, I don't know what world he'd play 35 minutes and have 70 fantasy point kind of upside. Not that he needs it at 8,700, but just kind of saying. Jakob Poeltl, I don't think you play him today coming off the various rest/injuries. Minutes don't feel that necessary, but they will play him with Orlando Robinson, Colin Castleton. These guys are also playing together some, but none of them have crazy high minutes, so I don't think Poeltl at 6K is a move either. Jamal Shed, I do like a little bit more than AJ Lawson, and frankly, as I mentioned, I would lock Shed. I probably would not lock Lawson. So for me at this point, I think that these guys are both solid plays. I think they both have the ceiling to win a GPP. It's not, I don't think they have, like, I'm not sure about the question here, or the best way to answer the question rather. They don't have like a crazy low ceiling. Like, they're fine. The guys that don't have a ceiling would be like your Orlando Robinsons or Colin Castletons, because they're not going to be able to get enough minutes. But any guy that could play 30 plus minutes, like, practically has a ceiling to win a tournament. And when you have also enough guys out for Toronto, like, that's where guys have the ceiling. So yeah, these guys are good enough plays to me. As I mentioned before, if Lawson fails, probably means that Roden got more minutes, shot better. These guys, not dissimilar players, both guys shooting terribly. 49% true shooting for Roden, 50% for AJ Lawson. Lawson, a more aggressive three-point shooter, as we talked about. But I think these guys are functionally pulling from the same pool in terms of the stats they would put up. So if you don't play Lawson, I'd probably consider giving a boost to Roden, would be how I'd approach that. Shed, though, on his own tier, because he's going to shot create. He will get shots up. Also not a great shooter either at 51% true shooting. But he can produce, and he can get to the hoop a little bit. So I think Shed is your safest play here in terms of minutes and the upside, theoretically. How good would it be if the Raptors had a Grady Dick bobblehead? I mean, the Dick is bobbling. I'm sure people would have a good time. That's what I know of Dicks, at the very least. Toronto, you got to play some players here. If Barnes is out, these guys are all going to look infinitely better because they're going to be splitting about 49 fantasy points together. So these are all high-quality plays on Toronto, even though the total would love it to be a little bit higher, but shitty defense going against them. You have a better shot of these guys who are terrible shooters having better success against a team that gives up 117 points per 100. OKC on their side. Oh, man, I got to go faster. Sorry, guys. The late start and then me meandering along is not helping. OKC, so not a great total for OKC here, but Jalen Williams being out, I think you have to get some SGA, averaging about 1.8 fantasy points per minute without Jalen Williams on the court, 19% for the field. You want to be, I think, around 20. You want to go nuts on it and just really say that he's going to play high 30s minutes against Boston, and the defense is not going to do enough to stop SGA. I'd be perfectly okay with that. I think SGA is the pay-up option that appeals to me the most on the slate, based on what we have in front of us with no Jalen Williams. Everything else here, nobody gains enough to really like with Jalen Williams out. You'll get a few more minutes for Aaron Wiggins, but the price tag's not great. Close to playable, though, and if SGA were to fail, a guy like Wiggins getting more shots up could be good. Holmgren's rates without Jalen Williams were not very impressive. Had to flatten him out a little bit on my own manually because he just doesn't get more usage, doesn't rebound more, doesn't assist more. SGA is your big winner from no Jalen Williams, but these guys are all like probably better plays than not being played at all. It is like, NBA Finals preview, OKC versus Boston. Boston on their side, Tatum and Q-Tag. He's your only playable guy, really. 5% for me, 13% for the field. If he's out, Jaylen Brown will look the best. Derek White, Pritchard will look better. Porzingis will look better. Don't think anybody will be a must play at this point, but they'll all be pretty playable. But really the Tatum thing, if he plays, I don't think you should love a lot here, but certainly tournament options at a competitive game on both sides. Charlotte, 116.5 implied points. Miles Bridges getting way too much of him, but the minutes have been big for him. Shooting's been good. I've had him well projected all year. Today I have him at 1.36 fantasy points a minute. LaMelo, Bridges, and Mark Williams basically controlling the entire offense at this point. Unless it's a game where Williams is out, then Nurkic gets enough run to kind of hop in there. But Charlotte, I don't know, man. A really high total for him. So somebody's going to go off here would be the expectation. For Atlanta on their side, 125 implied points, high total as well, despite a pretty big pace down, losing about 5.5 possessions with the Hornets playing slow. Atlanta here, not a big Trae Young fan, getting barely any of him, but the matchup is soft enough. Total's good. So if you want to get to Trae Young, you can. I just am a slave to the underlying rates, which have not been as good for the various Hawks not on the team anymore or not playing this year. Dyson Daniels with the field on that 9%. Okongwu getting a lot more here, 37% fields at 31. You have no Capella today, so you don't really have that lever against Okongwu getting minutes. Biggest risk is right now his own foul trouble. But even then, you're facing Charlotte, so he can really do some damage in this matchup. He's going to be close to the rim against Mark Williams, can get some blocks. Okongwu is a really strong play today. It's a lot of ownership to be given up for what it's worth in these first three games if you are a late swap aficionado, as you should be in the NBA. Phoenix, 111.3 implied points on this side here. Not a lot to love for Phoenix besides Mason Plumlee, Royce O'Neal getting the bit of an uptick in minutes. Same thing for Tyus Jones because of no Grayson Allen in today. Or he's doubtful, but that basically means out. So for Mason Plumlee, again, good value here. This game also starts at 7:30. This game starts at 8. I guess you're losing a little bit of swappability. You know what? Because all the games tip off at 8. So you know what? You can play Mason Plumlee if he still looks like one of the best values in the slate by the time this game starts. You're good to go. There's nothing to wait for on the DraftKings slate. For FanDuel, I guess you might want to keep some more flexibility. You probably wouldn't want to play a Mason Plumlee type on FanDuel anyway. You want to have that 60 fantasy point upside, 50 at the very least. Your centers on there. But yeah, so Plumlee, he's going to be one of the best values, and I guess it sticks most likely. So again, he closed last game over Nick Richards. Now you have Nick Richards out. He played 26 minutes last game with Nick Richards still playing 23. So I think Iguodaro just takes that Nick Richards run of minutes, but Plumlee should start, and they probably need him today against Şengün and Adams. And O'Neal, okay, but really, if you don't play Plumlee, maybe you could boost Iguodaro at 3K. Maybe he has like a great day, but Iguodaro is really not that guy. 0.68 fantasy point per minute guy in the year. Houston, Şengün looks the best to me here. 26% ownership for my top 150. Fields at 18. Dillon Brooks getting him as a value, picking up more minutes from not having Amin Thompson out. The rate winners overall are Tari Eason and Alperen Şengün for not having Amin Thompson in, but Van Vliet being in kind of mitigates that. So Houston, good matchup on paper. I think these guys are okay plays, but really, I don't need Brooks at 20%, really. Şengün at 25%, I do like more. Houston, I like Şengün. I really don't love anything else, but it's a good matchup. Like Phoenix will stay competitive, and their defense is not good enough, so I get it. But Houston is not going to be a chalky team today, besides some guys that you probably don't want to go nuts on. Şengün at 18 seems a good matchup. I mean, it would have been easy with Nick Richards. It gets easier without him. So, yeah, I like him a lot. And again, not having Thompson in, like he really would, those guys are kind of ping-pong back and forth a little bit. A little more reliability on Şengün's side, I think, fantasy-wise. But now you get Amin Thompson in, like there's just more assist upside, more rebounding upside, more ability to start plays, to finish plays. Like that's good stuff for everybody there. But I think in particular, Şengün. Dallas today. So PJ Washington, Q tag on him. I think he still got a Q tag, right? So for him, he's really the big thing here that's kind of messing up Dallas today. I'm just checking the Twitter alerts, see if anybody else got ruled out. Pajemski ruled out for tomorrow, which doesn't help anything today. So if you get Washington in, Dallas not really playable today. Najee Marshall still theoretically in play, have him at a 36 projection. Klay Thompson still kind of in play, 10% in my top 150 lineups. I'm getting him. Fields at 9. Brandon Williams still an okay play, though I'm actually not sure if he'll actually play today because of the fact that he did hurt his hamstring on Sunday. It's a quick turnaround for a hamstring injury. If Williams were out, these guys will look better. If Williams and Washington are out, you're back to kind of the same situation as last time, except people won't play Najee Marshall nearly as much. So this game really important. It is an 8 o'clock tip-off, as we talked about. Everything kind of goes within a short window of 7:30 to 8, which is really weird scheduling on the slate. But you'll know what you need to know for this one. So just watch out for Washington in particular, because the trickle-down effect of him being out and then Williams being out would be enormous for the rest of the team. San Antonio, pretty high total here. De'Aaron Fox has been really not good at all. I've mentioned it a few times here, and he continues to fail in a lot of situations. He's not playing as well as he was in Sacramento, even with Wemby out now. Certainly guys like Vassell taking usage away, Keldon Johnson taking usage away, Sohan back in the lineup today, it seems, him taking some shots away. It doesn't help, but Fox is not really asserting himself enough to have any faith in. But with that total, him at 7% owned, maybe you just throw the projection out the window and play a little bit. Vassell, though, seems like the best play. Usage has been strong for him. I like watching him play. I think he takes a lot of possessions away when I watch Spurs games, when I'm flicking around. Keldon Johnson, same thing. These two guys just both don't give a shit about De'Aaron Fox being on the team. They take shots away from him on the regular, don't even look to him when he's like calling for the ball sometimes. San Antonio is like a weird mercenary team of guys just trying to get their own stats. So I don't mind these other guys. Fox is low enough owned where you're getting some leverage on Vassell if Fox were to be good. Chris Paul definitely receding into the background a little bit. His usage down to 14%. Still getting assists, though. He'll hit shots when he does shoot them. But San Antonio, weird team. Vassell is your chalk. Keldon Johnson, secondary chalk. They both look okay. Brandon Williams, good for 150 burger a year for turning back to dust. We'll see. He's been playing pretty well in the year, like shooting well, good usage, good assist. I like Brandon Williams. So I'd like to see him play. Ideally, I'd like to see him play in a day where a few other Mavs start to get hurt too. But if he comes in today, I would certainly take my shots. Utah, you have no Keontae George today. Some Q tags that could move this around a little bit. As it is right now, John Collins, 22% for the field. I'm getting him at 37. He does gain a little bit in upside because of not having Keontae George in. One of those usage things where just having one less shooter kind of leads John Collins to get more shots up. And he's been great on the year. We've talked about it since the channel launched. So John Collins looks good here. It's a lot of ownership going to John Collins, but a pace-up spot versus Memphis, more peripherals to go around theoretically. Colin Sexton playing more minutes again after being limited for a while. No Keontae George, they're really pressing him into action. Getting 20% here, Fields at 24. Last time, I do want to confirm this because I think he played, he played over 30. I'm pretty sure he played over 30. He played, 32.6 minutes last game. So Colin Sexton got a lot of run. That game was competitive into the end of the fourth, and Utah is not throwing in the towel, even against a team like Boston. So Sexton, I think, in play here, as long as they don't get smoked by Memphis. Those two stand out. Really, you need somebody else to be out here for anybody else to look better, I think. Memphis, you got no Jaren Jackson, no Santi Aldama, so the rate increase for Desmond Bane puts me on him a little bit. We got Ja Morant here. I'm not getting him very much, only 1% compared to the field's 9%. For Memphis, if you play Morant, you're getting leverage on Bane, but Bane's not too highly owned today. These guys project basically flat for me, so Bane being cheaper, I'd prefer to get Bane, but I think they're really a very similar play. Vince Williams, I'm a little bit lower on. The rates for him, not quite as good lately. Shooting for him also hasn't been very good, but he's 3,800 in shooting guard, small forward, so 33.5% for the field. Seems like a lot to me, but he's not like an awful play. I think that's it for Memphis. You need the big men are back in today, it seems. So you're not going to get the Jay Huff value again. And he really barely hit last game. I mean, it was a good value metric, but he didn't have the upside. You think Memphis, really good total. You need to play parts of Memphis no matter what, I think. Clippers. It's our last game on the DraftKings slate, thank God. 102 implied points for the Clippers. I don't think we got an injury report for these guys. So I don't think Powell officially got ruled out. I assume these guys are going to be out. I know Kawhi officially got ruled out. But Powell and Simmons, if they're not playing here, this is what it looks like. Somebody can confirm in the chat. I'm sure I just don't recall seeing that come through yet because I don't think the Clippers injury report was out when I last looked. But Harden looks good, 23% for me in my top 150. Fields at 16. Zubac looks good again, 19%. Fields at 11. These guys went nuts yesterday, with Kawhi in the lineup. The issue, they're now facing a tougher team on a back-to-back, not a great total. It's not a day to load up on Harden and Zubac, but I think expect them to have a good run out here. It's a team with really consolidated fantasy production right now between these three guys, or these two rather, and also Kawhi with Norman Powell not being in. Everybody else here, I'm getting 9% Bogdanovich. Don't really like him. Clippers, to me, not a team to like besides the top two, really. And Miami, I'm getting nothing here. Bam Adebayo keeps finding ways to pay off at his elevated price tag. I don't see it really today. Wiggins getting 5%. I think that's just positionality and a price tag. These guys are okay. I just don't see a lot here. New York, you can see it here. If you are playing on FanDuel, I'll just scroll through quickly. Pause your screen if you need to. And Minnesota, Denver. Again, Jokic, my top projected guy in the slate, but we don't have Axum on DraftKings. Powell confirmed that. Okay, good. So there we go. But Simmons not? All right. Well, anyway, whatever. It doesn't really fucking matter. Let's run the video here for Unabated. Of course, we're going to get some good bets in now. Thanks to our friends at Unabated. So let's learn about their traditional NBA projections. You can get for 20% off right now. Click the link in the description or just learn some more and then click. If you want professional projections, you go to Justin Fan's team that are updating around the clock, doing a great job of it. And again, I have to do it for serious bettors. I have to do it for myself. It's a little bit difference between us. Dynamic projections, so every projection set they have covered for you. There's actually a situation today where Scotty Barnes doesn't play. I think it's Jakob Poeltl's line. Looks really good. His over looks really good. If Scotty Barnes does play, his under looks really good. That's what you get with Unabated traditional NBA projections. You also get graphs, which I know that people love. How could you not love graphs? That's what you have to ask yourself. In the mirror. Don't ask me. Of course, you want to chat. You can do that. Oh, trying to log in to Unabated. It won't let me log in. Okay, here we go. Let's log into this tab. Screen locked up for a minute, but let's go over. Let's look at, of course, this. Please let me click the thing. Oh, JavaScript and how you paint us all. You'd be up $45,000, which you can see right here for Unabated. Every bet, if you place it 30 minutes before tip-off, 5% or higher ROIs, you get $45,000 in Unabated's conditional NBA projection. So really the best I can show you here is legit data backing it up from a real company here, which has more than enough professional bettors fact-checking them every day. So this is not some guy on Twitter. It's not some guy on Dub Club fucking lying to you about his results because he shows you pick 'em slips that win occasionally. This is an actual site where people are wagering tens of thousands of dollars based off this data. And you should be using it for yourself. You want to make more money in betting. If you want to get enough money to play DFS nightly and not sweat so much the swings that can come, I would really recommend checking Unabated out for those reasons. This is your new cash game for DFS. If you used to play cash games in DFS, there's no edge there to be found really. But for this stuff, you will find your edge. All right, we're simming things out here. Unabated using standard deviation, simming 10,000 times. And thank you, WW Fresh. I appreciate it. Hopefully you've run that one past the World Wildlife Foundation, so they don't trademark strike you like the WWF. Let's see. Yeah, we do it. Music I give out angry dragons. Okay. I don't even know what an angry dragon is. I don't. And again, I probably don't want to know. All right, so the sim should be good here. Let's resort. All right, so, oh, that's weird. EV on both sides for Reza Shea, but clearly this is crazy. 74.5% EV for Underdog. So Zachary Reza Shea lower on 22.5 points. That line, if it's still available on Underdog, is not a correct line. PrizePicks is at 12 for Reza Shea. DraftKings at 11.5. So something is wrong here. Take this Reza Shea lower right now. It's basically like a free bet, and they don't realize it if it's still available. This one, Vic Krejci, they have it 5.5 points, under 59.9% EV for Vic Krejci. The one Unabated is only playing 7 minutes. So two broken ass lines by Underdog. And look, Underdog is not paying me as a sponsor. So please abuse their pick'ems right now and take these two unders for Reza Shea and Krejci, who seemingly they just mispriced Atlanta here. They must have priced it for Trae Young being out, but we don't know that yet. So you're still getting the EV, I guess, right? Now, Trae Young's not even a Q tag. Underdog's fucking up. So Atlanta again, Terrence Mann under 9.5 points, 12.6% EV. Not as good as the Reza Shea and Vic Krejci numbers, but this is broken. An EV should never be this high. And it could be something, maybe it's been updated on Underdog's side and Unabated doesn't know it yet. But if you are an Underdog, you should take these bets immediately. These 3 bets, make a pick them out of them. Amir Coffey, 12% EV for the over 8.5 points right now in Underdog. Still playable on DraftKings and FanDuel as well. We're getting 7.3% EV and 10.3%, but Amir Coffey looking good on Underdog, DraftKings, and FanDuel over 8.5 points. We got Khalil Ware, 12% EV on under 9 points on PrizePicks. Still a good range as well on DraftKings, under 8.5 points there, plus 100 odds. FanDuel a little bit less good at 5.2% EV, but Khalil Ware under 9 points or under 8.5 points looking good today on your pick'em sites or your betting markets, but in particular PrizePicks. Steven Adams under 5.5 points, 9.7% EV for him on FanDuel Sportsbook. Not available anywhere else to take that bet. Bogdan Bogdanovic, 9.4% EV under 15.5 points on DraftKings Sportsbooks. Looks good. Also good on FanDuel, where it's 6.8% EV for Bogdan Bogdanovic under 15.5 points. Rebounds coming up next. Good time with the family. Thank you. I appreciate it, Mike. We'll see. Got a long drive coming up tomorrow. We're going to upstate New York to the family. So it's not my choice of a thing, but if the wife's family is going to rent a house, we'll do it. It's also Luca's birthday too. So we're early celebration of his birthday. Technically his birthday is next Thursday, but turning the big 3, the big 03 will be Luca coming up. So doing a Cars themed celebration in upstate New York. What a vacation. George Niang, 60. Wow. So EV on both sides here. What is going on? EV on the FanDuel thing, the FanDuel side of things, EV on Underdog. So George Niang under 7.5 rebounds on Underdog, 62.1% EV. Something is broken for Atlanta lines with Underdog, and it's only Underdog. So take these bets if you can. George Niang on the other sports books, the over looks priced better. So you can take the over for Niang on FanDuel, PrizePicks, or DraftKings. You should take under 7.5 on Underdog because their line is off by 3.5 rebounds. George Niang getting 8 rebounds is a batshit line, even if he played the entire game. Vic Krejci under 2.5 rebounds, 42% EV for him on Underdog, not available anywhere else because they're not making lines like that. So Underdog slipping in partnership deals, slipping and making lines today for the Hawks. James Harden over 5 rebounds, 15.8% EV on PrizePicks, playable on DraftKings and FanDuel at 6% EV as well for over 5 rebounds on PrizePicks, over 5.5 for Harden on DraftKings and FanDuel. Landry Shamet under 1.5 rebounds, 14.8% EV for you on PrizePicks, 8.1% on DraftKings for Landry Shamet. On those two books, he's getting enough minutes to get a betting market for him to take the under. Davion Mitchell under 2.5 rebounds for him, looking best on PrizePicks, 12.9% EV. It's still technically playable on DraftKings where it's 4.7% EV, so 5% rounded up. Mason Plumlee over 8 rebounds looks good for 12% EV on PrizePicks, playable on DraftKings and FanDuel as well on slightly less EV. The line there of over 8.5 rebounds. And Devin Booker over 4 rebounds, 10.9% EV on PrizePicks and looking playable as well on DraftKings and FanDuel where it's over 3.5 rebounds for him. Assists coming up next. Of course, DFS Sim as well coming up. And Stokastic will be on the deeper dive at 5:30 Eastern today. So again, 7:30 start time for the slate. It means 5:30 start time for my other show. Snowboarding, I've never snowboarded in my life, and I don't think being 40 and cold is the time for me either. There's an indoor pool, so that'll be probably a focal point. If that terrible 2s were bad, wait till he becomes a 3-nager. Oh boy, he's already pretty rebellious. He's also been getting moved. I mean, I don't talk about this stuff enough. Enough. I don't talk about this stuff really very much. Probably more than enough anyway. But Luke has been getting moved up in classes like very early compared to his peers and stuff. So he's like doing okay. I think we've already gotten some of the rebellious stuff because he's like been Mr. No for like fucking 4 months now. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully we're already getting a taste of it, but we're on potty training now because he hasn't shown enough of a potty interest so far. Congrats on the family. Thank you, WW Fresh. I appreciate the kind words. Mitchell Robinson under 0.5 assists, looking good on PrizePicks, 21.9% EV. Also on Underdog there, not quite as egregious as the Atlanta Hawks lines. Mitchell Robinson, 21.9% EV. That is a very high number for your pick'em sites for the under on assists for Mitchell Robinson. Bam Adebayo over 3.5 assists, good on PrizePicks, 15.6% EV. DraftKings and FanDuel as well, over 3.5 assists there. Looking playable, actually pretty playable at over about a 9% EV on both. Well, 10% on FanDuel. So Bam Adebayo over 3.5 assists, looking good anywhere you can get it. And he's been crushing lately. Had the ball in his hands a lot. LaMelo Ball under 8 assists. The rates for him go down since Brandon Miller's been out, but people kind of miss that. Part of why Bridges has been so good. But LaMelo Ball under 8 assists, 15.3% EV on PrizePicks. Bettable on DraftKings and FanDuel. We haven't had a single grand slam on every site yet, which is rare. Tyus Jones under 4.5 assists, good on Underdog where it's 14.3% EV or 2.2% EV. Not playable anywhere else. So Tyus Jones, the under for assists on Underdog only, the lower. Ivica Zubac over 2.5 assists plus 140 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook gets you 13.2% EV. Same thing for DraftKings for Ivica Zubac over 2.5 assists for him. Cameron Payne under 3.5 assists. Good to go on PrizePicks. Nowhere else, though. So Cam Payne under 3.5 assists. Take your 12.9% EV and get out of here. But take it on PrizePicks. Anthony Simons under 4.5 assists. Good on your pickup sites, 11.4% EV. And there's a grand slam. Also playable on DraftKings and FanDuel for Anthony Simons under 4.5 assists. Play it anywhere of the major books / pick'ems. Pick'em parlors. If you get some good potty training ideas, share those to those of us in chat still struggling. That's funny. Yeah, Steve, you are on the other side of that now, unfortunately. But yeah, no, we gotta do it because like they won't even let him wear diapers in his class now, which is annoying because they gave us no advance notice. They're like, I guess to wear pull-ups every day. It's fucking stupid. Things you have to deal with as a parent. Like I was one of those people that'd be like, whatever, go ahead. What's the big deal? Like you really just don't fucking know what you're dealing with as a parent until you're doing it. So shout out to all you guys that don't have kids because it's a lot. It's always a lot of stupid random shit too. But, joy, pleasure, etc. We were playing outside yesterday. It was a great time. Daquan Jeffries under 24.5 PRAs. Underdog gives, Jesus. What did they do to the Hawks? There has to be something wrong here. Maybe it's because, no, this is both sides of the equation. This game is broken. Under 24.5 PRAs on Underdog, 83% EV. On PrizePicks, it's 11.5 PRAs. On DraftKings Sportsbook, it's 10.5 PRAs. take these Hawks Hornets bet every under for a secondary player and Hawks Hornets. Just take it. It looks like Vic Krejci 74.3% EV on Underdog. Just broken lines under 11.5 PRAs for a guy who's going to play 7 minutes. Terrence Mann under 15.5 PRAs, 24.8% EV for Terrence Mann. And yeah, that's that. That's all of them. Yusuf Nurkic too, I guess. 13.4% EV for him on Underdog, under 13.5 PRAs. He's barely playing, so you could take that one. Though not quite as much of an egregious one. Like the Daquan Jeffries line just shouldn't exist. I don't get how you would have twice the PRAs. Whatever. Vika Zubac, 11.9% EV for his over 32.5 PRAs on DraftKings at plus 100 odds. Landry Shamet under 8.5 PRAs, looking good on PrizePicks. 10.9% EV on there. And Nick Smith, 10.3% EV on PrizePicks and Underdog. At least both sites have it like that. Nick Smith, under 14.5 PRAs, good on your pick'em sites. Not quite Daquan Jeffries good, though, who they expect. Underdog thinks he's like a different player. I don't know what's going on here. Is the fix in Atlanta Underdog? I don't even know what the fix would be. Like, who's benefiting from this? I don't. It's just Underdog want to lose money. But really, this is an entire pick'em card of the most EV we've seen all year. So please scroll back and take all these bets if they are still an Underdog right now. Has anyone confirmed? I mean, should I just go to Underdog? Should we? Here, let's load up Underdog real fast. I feel like they have to be down now because a few people must have hit them. But let's go to pick'em. NBA. Watch, we're going to get people like limited because they don't even know. Hornets, Hawks. George Niang. So it looks like they killed the George Niang rebounds line. Do they have Daquan Jeffries? Okay, so they've killed the lines, it looks like. So maybe Unabated just on a delayed update here. Because like those lines are just incorrect, and that's the kind of one a sportsbook or a pick'em site would normally catch immediately. But that's the value of Unabated. They will identify those things quickly, and if you are one of the lucky few that get in fast enough, you'll find tremendous EV. So keep that in mind. Check it Unabated for yourself. Great tool for pick'ems or sportsbooks you see here on stream every day. And please do dive in there. 20% off the Unabated. Click the link in the description. It'll take you right over there. You can see their various packages. If you want projections from Unabated as well, you can do that. Follow your heart. All right, let's go to Stokastic for our last leg here, of course, of our daily gauntlet that we do on stream. We're going to build 5,000 lineups here. I guess we need to refresh the page. We're going to build 5,000 lineups here and have them sim out 10,000 times. We'll see what we get. But let's check the chats. Got some dads talking about kids are 4.5 years and 15 months here. But oh, wow. So you got the whole range there. Kudos to you. I don't think we're going to go back to the well. Kid just turned 15 months old, grew up so fast, it's unreal. You're getting that spot where it's starting to get rewarding. I feel like year one where you're dealing with the blob that just yells all the time was not my fave, but yeah, it gets more rewarding. It's still just a drain. Like it's still if you enjoy doing stuff like as yourself, if you're like me, you're a bachelor into your late 30s, like you miss some of that stuff. But if you have a good partner, you can find enough of the balance, I think. And we've hopefully my wife too, been lucky enough to have that. Where we carve out enough time for our own personal sanity. But yeah, if you could not have a kid, I think it's pretty slick. We're going to run a simulation here, just Stokastic data. You saw my data, how it impacted the sim before, and now we'll see what just Stokastic data has. So we'll look at the top lineups, we'll look at the overall exposures, top ROI players. We'll have a great read on the slate. And of course, you get a great read every single day using Stokastic data, 15% off, linked down below. Sims, DFS projections, all that stuff for you. If you want to use my projections or Unabated's projections on Stokastic, you can do that. And that's a good way to get unique as well, whatever version of it you're using. So do check it out yourself. Again, link down below for Stokastic for Unabated. Check one of them out. Please, or join the channel, get in the Discord, see the data I show you on screen as well, my own personal data and some stats I pull. Never saw those lines. Maybe Unabated was pulling P plus R or P plus A, but it still wouldn't be, they wouldn't have Jeffries as 24.5 then for a category with less stats. So I don't know. Well, if I had to guess, because Unabated, like we're 20 minutes after Unabated puts their stuff out, Unabated probably, like somebody at Underdog probably saw Unabated's lines and killed them, or, they just got hit by some sharp bettors and they immediately flagged them. But like, I would imagine Unabated's not pulling lines that don't exist. They probably existed and then got killed. But for some reason, it's not flagging on Unabated side. Maybe because the market, they like took the market out entirely would be my guess, knowing some of this data stuff. Your top lineup, so according to Stokastic data, number 1 ROI lineup, Colin Sexton, Lonnie Walker, Jason Tatum, Tari Eason, Mark Williams, AJ Lawson, Royce O'Neal, Navika Zubac. So you're getting your one Raptor in here who is going to be really popular. You're getting Lonnie Walker again when he's going to be less popular. Tari Eason getting a little bit of a boost from not having Amin Thompson in, so I could see that. Sexton getting minutes. So okay, you're getting leverage on Harden with Zubac theoretically. Number 2, you have Jamal Shed, who is the guy today. I'd probably rather have more lineups than none. Colin Sexton, Scotty Barnes in this one. Projection is going to be high for this guy if you give him 32 minutes like Stokastic is. Dylan Brooks, Mark Williams, Trae Young, Devin Vassell, Mason Plumlee here. Your chalk value, Mason Plumlee, along with your chalk value, Jamal Shed. But no AJ Lost in this one. So I guess you have to get the ownership product down a little bit by not playing one of the chalky guys. Colin Sexton, AJ Lawson, Scotty Barnes, Jason Tatum, Onyeka Okongwu, Jared Rhoden, Devin Vassell, Lonnie Walker at number 3. I'm surprised with this much Lonnie Walker because like him getting Oubre in, not good for the minutes for him. Trae Young, AJ Lawson, Scotty Barnes. I'll still probably play 30 minutes, but I just like, it's a lot of Lonnie Walker. AJ Lawson, Scotty Barnes, Dylan Brooks, Mason Plumlee, Lonnie Walker again, Vince Williams, SGA. So you're paying down a bunch, paying down for Plumlee, paying down for Walker, paying down for Lawson, paying down for Vince Williams, so you could afford SGA and Trae Young and Scotty Barnes. So that's not the kind of lineup I would expect, but like pure stars and scrubs on that one. And at number 5, Jamal Shed again, Lonnie Walker yet again. Is Lonnie Walker? Lonnie Walker's in 4 out of the 5 lineups. I am surprised by that. Devin Vassell, Miles Bridges, Jakob Poeltl, Jared Rhoden, Tari Eason, SGA. I do think what you're seeing here of only having Lawson or Rhoden, I would agree with that. Unless you get Barnes out, then both guys probably have to play 30 minutes. But Rhoden or Lawson, I think, is the move. Probably not both if Barnes is in. Hate these lineups. So here you go. Lonnie Walker, top ROI player according to Stokastic. Number 2 is AJ Lawson. So again, worry about the directional accuracy of the sim, not the actual numbers here. But Walker, Lawson, Stokastic loves Walker. And during the NFL season in particular, there were a few times where I critiqued a Stokastic play. I was like, I don't see how Tucker Kraft's going to hit this week. And Tucker Kraft would then win a slate. So I have to give you that caveat here. Like, you should trust the site that has their avatars on top of the tournaments every day. My job here, though, is I watch The Watchmen. And I really just want to give you guys a counterbalance here because I am perplexed by this much Lonnie Walker, but he's coming up. So he's coming up. Take that as you will. Mark Williams at number 3 with a negative 5% ROI. Scotty Barnes right behind him. Again, give him 32 minutes. He looks like a demon. Steven Adams at number 5. So the shared minutes paying off for him as a value play in Stokastic's data. Navika Zubac, he's at number 6. Colin Sexton at number 7. That's a different group than I would have expected. Top exposed players for Stokastic. AJ Lawson, Jamal Shed, no surprises here. Was the same thing for me in the sim I ran. They're getting more than 2x the field than AJ Lawson, getting 10% more than the field of Jamal Shed, but both guys around 55 to 60% plays. I hate these days when like Miles Bridges, if you guys watch the show, you know for like a month I touted Miles Bridges, in particular whenever LaMelo was out. I don't like when my guy becomes mainstream and overpriced and everybody's going to play him because that's when you know the downside is coming. But Miles Bridges, 40% played by the field is their expectation here. He's playing high 30s minutes every game, 56% exposure Stokastic's giving you. So very high leverage on Miles Bridges. You're getting him in more than half of their top 150 lineups. Lonnie Walker, 4x the field on him. I don't get it, but he's a value play, and he'll play high 20s minutes, maybe 30 plus. Mason Plumlee, you're getting less in the field of him, but still 37% overall. Colin Sexton, 37%, 11% more than the field. And Onyeka Okongwu with no Clint Capella, 36% for the top 150 lineups from Stokastic, 31% for the field. Highest leverage guys, AJ Lawson, Lonnie Walker here, more than 30% on both. Scotty Barnes, more than 20% on him. Miles Bridges, 15.5% on him, more than the field. Colin Sexton, about 10%. Zubac, same thing. Shed, same thing. And your most negative leverage plays, they want you to get less Vince Williams, even though he was in one of those top ROI lineups overall. Desmond Bane, negative 15%. Mason Plumlee, negative 12% leverage on him. So you're barely getting any Bane for Stokastic. It's not going to be the case for me today, I can tell you now. Plumlee, you are getting still a good amount. He's still in almost 40% of your lineups, but you're getting less in the field. Field's expected to play half of their lineups, including Mason Plumlee. Jamison Battle, if he shoots well, he could maybe displace some minutes here for Toronto. So he is a 3-point shooter, not much else. Scottie Pippen Jr., I don't know why you'd play him on the slate, but negative 7% leverage on him. Trae Young, negative 6% leverage, only get him in 13% of lineups. And John Morant, negative 6% leverage. So they're not playing Bane or Morant. In fact, playing both just 3%. So they don't like Memphis versus Utah, which is odd. Real soft matchup, and Utah's got, if their guys are full go, they might hang in the game for 4 quarters. So I disagree. I think Bane and Moran are both worth exposure. Is Roden the pivot off Lawson and Shed? More the pivot off Lawson than Shed because they're both 2 guards. Shed, I don't think, has a pivot because he's a lead guard, an assist man. Like, he creates, he does shoot some threes, and he doesn't knock them down. I think your Shed concern is that he plays 30 minutes and puts up 20. But, you know, for Lawson and Roden, if you get Barnes out, they both have to play a lot. If you get Barnes in, one of them could lose minutes to the other, theoretically, I would think. Agree to you on Morant and Bane. There we go. So that's it for this video for now, guys. Of course, I will give you guys my splash plays of the day. Before I do, we have to do one more round of whoring. So let me put my legs behind my ears and say, please subscribe down below. Hit the like button, leave a comment. I'm just one guy here running an NBA channel, running an NFL channel, which I did a draft on this morning. If you are in the world of best ball drafting NFL before the NFL draft, like us true degenerates are out there. But I gamble here on stream every day. I like to show you guys my work. It's a lot of fun for me. It's also a lot of work. So please do help a brother out fighting the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe down below, hit the like button, leave a comment. And of course, join down below. If you want to get the Discord for $5, it will add value to your process. Even if all you see is me just mentioning my updates, you can see my updates throughout the day. I'll highlight like, oh, this player went up, this player went down. So I don't know. I think it adds value. Unabated definitely adds value. 20% off. Link in the description. All the best bets we talk about. You want to hop on those lines with insane underdog EV. You got to be fast because they're going to know and they're going to kill those lines. So it is a timeliness game. Unabated makes it very easy to get bets in fast using great premium data. Check it out for yourself. 20% off for Unabated. Link in the description. NBA DFS projections. All the betting tools we show you here on screen. You get them both. And Stokastic, 15% off. They don't have any promo codes going. I'm barred from promoting this promo code on their streams. But here you can get it for yourself. Special deal, 15% off. Link in the description. Promo code SPLASH on there as well at Stokastic. Splash plays for the day. I mean, I think it's got to be Jamal Shed. I still believe in him the most here. He's 4,400, a little bit more expensive than Lawson and Roden. But I think he's a guy as like a true point guard. He's already in the rotation. He's already playing backup minutes. He's had good days. So I think Jamal Shed, close to a player I would lock in every lineup, but practically because I'm playing enough lineups, I don't think I would. If I were doing a 20 max today, I'd probably just lock him and see what I get with it. For putting a bunch of entries in the big tournament, less so, but I'll still get a lot. I think AJ Lawson / Jared Roden have to be another. If you get Barnes out, both in play. If Barnes is in, though, I think one of them will have a pretty good shot of playing well. I honestly don't even know who would like be the guy to pull from those two. I think they just pull directly from each other. I guess if you got a random Chris Boucher spike day, or Garrett Temple came off the bench and went nuts from 3, but he's been a disaster. That's like your one way that both Lawson and Roden fail, I think. But you know how it is, tanking teams, shitty teams. That's how it could go. But they're playing another shitty team who doesn't want to win the game. So bit of a weird spot. Besides that, pay up options, the SGA 1.8 fantasy points per minute without Jalen Williams. Think you got to play some SGA if you can afford it. Would say besides that, Mason Plumlee, another value guy. I'm going to sort by my overall projections one more time. Miles Bridges, the field is there today. I've been alone with him a few times, and he's really beaten me up. But Miles Bridges, he's been good before. I don't love him at 40%, but I think you got to be with the field on him because he's going nuts. Şengün, I would say another splash play. I'm trying to give you somebody who's not cheap. There really isn't a great mid-tier. Bane, I like more. Hopefully that's a start to a player pool, but follow your hearts, guys. You've gotten a lot of info for me. There'll be more to come today for me in about half an hour on Stokastic. So check that out. Gamble responsibly, guys. Even if it's always money time here on this channel, I'll flash it. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play NBA. Hit the like button, subscribe. I will be gone the next 2 days, so we'll probably also not be doing projections. So sorry about that, guys. It's only when I do a show that I do projections, but I will be here Monday to Friday the rest of the season. So lock in here and join down below. Subscribe to all that. I appreciate you guys being here. I'll see you guys again soon. See you on Stokastic 30. Enjoy your days and good luck. Bye-bye.